Hello, I'm Peggy Toon. I'm 82 years young because age is just a number, and I think it should be more of an attitude. I'd like to talk to you about something today that not many people know about, and if I pass on, I think this story is going to be lost because I think I'm the last one living that can tell it. Even my children don't know this story to tell like I do. So if you'll be patient, I'll start at the beginning. First of all, let me give you a background on me. I was born in Pennsylvania, raised as a Southerner in Richmond, Virginia. Went to college. After college, my husband, Ed Braden, and I got married. We moved from Fredericksburg, Virginia to Richmond, Virginia. He got a job immediately with a large department store there. And he was there probably from about 2 years. And down the street was a bank, sort of a medium-sized bank called the Bank of Virginia. Now, they had heard about credit cards, being an interchange of credit cards, where not an interchange, but more than a credit card that could be used at many different places instead of just one credit card, say, at the department stores. So the founder of the Bank of Virginia, Tom Buchel, who was a visionary, there were two other banks in New York that tried to start a credit card where you could charge at any store, but they failed. And Tom Buchel thought, well, he's going to try it. So he tried first in Norfolk, Virginia, and it flunked. But he wouldn't give up. He came back to Richmond. He said, we're going to hire a retail man this time. So they went to the local department store, Tallheim's department store, and my husband was a supervisor of the credit card collections there. First they offered it to an older gentleman there, and he said, I'm too old to begin a new life. But I do know a young man here who would be perfect for it. So they offered the job to my husband, Ed Braden. That was December, I believe, of 1954. So in 1954, he started working for the bank. And the first month that they had their credit card, it was called Merchants Bank Credit Card Service, MBCS. And he went out and knocked on doors. He would only deal with well-known merchants that were in an upscale area. He was very fussy. He would not deal with liquor stores, grocery stores, because once people eat, the food, they don't want to pay their bill, or drink the booze, they don't want to pay their bill. So he was very careful about that. Another thing I remember them doing is they would put a decal on the door, and if that business went out of business, the first thing his people that worked for him, his salespeople, they would go to that store and scrape off that decal. They did not want to look like they were failures. So the first year they made a profit. I think it was $2,743, something like that, the first year. And the future bank president wrote Ed a letter, which just blows my mind. It's unbelievable because it predicts what is going to happen in the future of this world. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it. It's by William Gordon. Now this is his handwriting, which is extremely hard to read, but I have the original. This is a copy of it. And I translated it, and here it is. Mr. Gordon says, thanks for sending the record you've kept on MBCS growth. Put this away when it's filled out. One day, you'll look back on it with keen interest as, quote, when we began this program. I believe with zeal and with patience, with skill and with energy, we will see this program enlarge broadly throughout all our cities in time as a medium of commerce and professional financing. And in quotation marks, he wrote, or in parentheses, he wrote, it will be a long time before the two big stores here and others elsewhere will turn over their sales to us. However, the very small concept regarding dentist bills indicate the need of all these not readily organized to record changes or charges and bill and collect. And this covers 99% in number of all stores, doctors and dentists, beauty parlors and grocery stores, as well as the usual shops we are now serving. There is a limit, of course, but we are far from it now. To our technique and know-how will grow and change and make the system, MBCS, more attractive to a large area of merchandising and more acceptable to the public. A grand corollary will be the people will begin to ask us to pay their bills and charge their accounts. This is a pain in the neck today, and in parentheses, salary deductions and charges to checking with savings accounts, etc., simply because we haven't devised an easy method of putting these charges through. Once we do learn how to do this, parentheses, charge checking accounts and pay bills, or credit other accounts like Christmas vacation and saving accounts and loan payments, we will be paying telephone, gas, water, electric, and other merchant bills for our customers, one on a large scale, sending out perhaps a monthly accounting for deposits received and credited and bills paid and changed. This is why, and this one always makes me cry, this is why I suggest you save the early record to say, quote, look how we began, what is now, and he's talking about the future, 1960 or so long a function of our lives. And look where we are today. I've got a feeling Target and Home Depot are not too happy with my late husband. Back, I guess it was in 1958, a gentleman from a Dresselgraph Multigraph came to him and gave him the first plastic credit card ever issued in the world, and told him that. And from there, he went to the department stores and gave them their plastic credit cards. Now, I do have that plastic credit card. And my husband thought it was so important, he framed the metal card, which was the first card, Merchants Bank credit card service, the one he began with, and he framed that, and underneath it, he put the first plastic credit card ever issued. And this is what he framed. So if he thought it was important, I think I'd better think it's important. That was in the late 1950s. Then in 1960s, they began, the banks were coming from all over the country to see what he was doing in Virginia. And there was a bank that came and they asked him to come out to California and run their credit card system. And he turned it down. That was the Bank of America. Well, that was, I'd say, about the mid-1960s. About that time, the banks in New York got together and they formed Interbank Card, which was a group of banks who were hoping to exchange credit cards with each other. So about 1967, 4 or 5, I think it was 5 of those banks, which I have a list of those banks, met in the Buffalo Club in Buffalo, New York. And they made Ed chairman of this steering committee to put the whole thing together because he knew more about it than anybody else. In fact, as they were coming from all over the country to see what he was doing, they were calling him Mr. Credit Card. So in 1967, he came back to the bank and he began receiving credit cards, logos from all over the country and from manufacturers of credit cards. He received about 30 of them. And one day he came home and he said, "Peggy, I picked a logo for the new card." And he held up 2 drawings about this size. And on one it was blue, white, and gold. And on the other it was an orange and a gold interlocking circles. And he said, "I picked the logo for the new card." And I said, "What is the name of it?" He said, "This is Master Charge." And on the other one, I remember seeing the word Visa on there. And I do believe the world tilted on its axis at that moment. Think about it. It's kind of an awesome thought. First, credit cards. Real credit cards. However, I said to him, "Well, which one is going to be first?" And he smiled and he said, Master Charge. From then on, it was the heyday of the credit card. He hired beautiful girls, attractive girls to go to the merchants representing the bank, supply them with the equipment they needed. The merchants were invited to parties of all kinds, football games, fairs they had, automobile shows, you name it, they were there. And the girls were dressed in orange jackets, gold skirts, white boots. Even Miss Virginia was one of those girls. They even had evening gowns, cocktail dresses. It was the heyday. And Ed hired some top salespeople, and they were basically dealing on commission. And they were making a great deal of money. In fact, they were making more money than a lot of the senior vice presidents of the bank. And I think there was a lot of jealousy going on there, and they really tried to close the credit card down. But fortunately, the senior management supported the credit card, and it continued. I'd like to show you the copy of the credit cards that were sent to him, except for the super card. All the others were sent to him. Now, I didn't tell you where he picked the credit card from, the logo for the credit card. That was Wells Fargo. Ed bought the logo for Master Charge from Wells Fargo and the name. And threw in a bank card, he paid $350,000 for the logo. When he told me that, I'm an artist, and I said, I could have drawn 2 circles. You won't find the logo for Wells Fargo card on here because, of course, it was taken immediately because this is the one they chose. But when Ed died, I reached in his drawer, and over in the corner of the drawer, there were these cards and with a rubber band around. Now, why would you save these credit cards? He knew, and I knew immediately when I saw them. They were the cards that were sent to him to choose the logo for the new card. I think it's very interesting here. There's Bankomatic here, and there's another one which is just similar to it. I don't think I have it in front, but you can see it on this card here. There was Bank America here. And if you put this one beside it, they've just reversed the colors. I wonder who was first. So let me see. Now I have also here the credit card finance statements of the year 1955. This was this is one of the copies of the original. You can see how yellow and worn it is. That I believe that's the first one right here, $294.18. That was in February 1955. Remember, they started the credit card just a month before that in 1954. And then this one was after the first year. It was January 1955, and it's hard to read, but I believe it's $2,437.45. So from then on, they made a profit every year until it left the bank. And then I believe they had a little problem, and that's when they brought him back, and from then on, they were in the black again.